It is an honor to ride beside you. Let every man make himself and his country proud. Be brave. Be brave. Be brave.
I'm like sobbing right now. Oh, this movie is so sad and so good. Oh my gosh, it's just amazing. I cried when I watched this, and oh, it's so beautiful. It's okay. War Horse. War Horse. I've already seen this movie before. I saw it a few years ago. I feel like a lot of years ago, but I'm not that old, so I didn't remember a lot about this movie. I didn't remember what happened and how it went because I was so young when I saw it that I just didn't remember. But so I watched it again last night. It was so good. So good. So sad and so beautiful, but it has a good ending, but it's just oh my gosh. I love movies that make me cry. I love them because they just bring out so much emotion that it just makes you feel, and that's what I love about movies, when they make you feel something. Those are the best movies for me, I think. But how something can affect you, and it's just a picture, or a moving picture, how it affects somebody and brings that emotion, and so that's what I love, and that's what I love about this movie. This movie is about war. War Horse is the title, so it's not that hard to guess that, but and it really does show the horrors and the like just sadness of war and how it just can ruin people's lives and take things from them and just oh my gosh, and it kills people, and it's just it's so sad, and this is probably my favorite war movie because it just shows it all. It shows both sides of the war and how people can still be good, and they're just fighting for what they believe in, and it's not, they're not evil. What I love, my favorite thing about, well, I guess it depends on if they really are evil, but with this, it took place in World War II, I think. So this movie, it takes place in World War II, and, the war horse, the horse named Joey, he's owned by a boy in Great Britain. So Britain goes to war against Germany, and there's different people in the war or whatever. But so it shows different sides of people, the Germans, and then the British people who meet the horse Joey, and then people who meet him in Germany, or the Germans, and how different people are affected by this horse, and how they're changed, or you just can see that they care. My favorite characters, my favorite people were the ones that cared, the people that cared for horses. There's this one guy, and it was sad. It makes me sad because they're at war, and they care about these horses, and they know that they're going to be hurt and tortured and just killed most likely, and there's nothing you can do about it because it's war, and it's just sad to be putting these horses through this, to put anybody through war. And so this one guy he says when they find these two horses, Joey, the main horse, and another horse, it's the Germans, this is what this part is, and the Germans find these horses, and this one guy, he says, you are beautiful horses, or something like that, and then he says, it's a pity that they found you, it's such a pity, because he looks over, and there's other horses that they've been using, and they're all muddy and cut up, and then they're constantly dying because they're making them pull these giant artillery things, and up hills, and the horses can't take it, and then, because they're not big horses that are used to pulling things, So if a horse gets out of breath or like falls over or just can't go on any longer, they'll just shoot the horse, and they're just killing them, and it's really sad. And so the people that actually care for these horses are the best, I think, because these horses need somebody, and it's good to know that there were people that cared. So this movie is really about, you know, hope and pride and bravery and perseverance and strength, and it shows a lot about the war, and also shows some great parts with some horses, and just like the thing of losing something, the feeling of losing something is a very important part of this, because when the boy loses his horse because the horse is being taken to war, and when this man loses his granddaughter because I don't know if she was sick. Maybe they took her medicine, the people from the war, but his granddaughter died, and then this boy that his brother, they were both in the war, and his younger brother was going to have to go out to the field, and the older brother was going to stay with the horses, and the older brother did not want his younger brother to go out there because he knew he was probably going to die, and he could not lose him, and so then they ran away, and just people came after them, and it's really sad, and so good, this movie. Probably my favorite quote in this movie is, when the man who lost his granddaughter is telling, before he loses her or whatever, before she dies, and he's telling her about how, in the war, or people would use, what was it, doves or pigeons? It was pigeons, I think. They used pigeons messenger pigeons or something, to fly messages, to other places. And he was saying that they would fly over war, and he said, can you imagine flying over a war, and you know you can never look down? You have to look forward, or you will never get home. And that's what he said, and I think it's a really nice, I don't know, I do not know what it's like to be at war. I do not know what it's like to have your country completely at war, because I haven't lived through anything like that, but I think this movie, and I don't know, I haven't seen many war movies, I mean, I've seen a few, but nothing like this one. That this one really shows it, I think. I mean, I don't know, I haven't been in war, so I wouldn't know, but, you know, it's just the whole thing, I don't know, it's so well done. It's Steven Spielberg, I mean, what do you expect? But, it's just so good, and I'm so happy I own this on DVD. But probably my favorite scene is when, this is probably a spoiler, or it is a spoiler, whatever. This movie came out a long time ago, so you should have already, hopefully you've seen it. If not, you better see it, because it's so freaking good. And if you love sad movies, or like just, I mean, it ends well, so it's okay. Anyway, watch this. Anyway, my favorite scene is probably when Joey the horse, he is running all over the place, and he runs into no man's land, or, you know, that area between two trenches, one side of the war, the other side of the war, you know, the teams, or armies, and he runs out there, and there's a bunch of barbed wire everywhere, and crazy stuff, and mud, and dirt, and so he's running through, and he doesn't understand, he's a horse, so he runs straight through barbed wire, and gets it all tangled all around him. And so he falls down, and he's covered in barbed wire. And then, like, the Germans and the British, that's the sides, both sides, people were in the trenches, and they were looking with binoculars or whatever, and they were saying, what is that, a cow? It's a horse? And then it was so funny, they all started to make, like, ticking noises. First the British were saying, how do you call a horse? And then they were, like, making that noise. And everyone started to do that, and then the Germans, they started to whistle, and they were all whistling loudly. So then the British were like, they're trying harder, we gotta do something. But they kind of like had this war of like it's a little war of like who's gonna get the horse to come towards them. And then they realized that the horse was tangled in barbed wire, and they were all like, "What do? We can't get it. We're just gonna have to leave it." But one guy, he's like, "I'm going to save this horse." So he takes a white flag, and he's British, and he waves the white flag, and he's trying to show the Germans, "Don't shoot at me. I'm just trying to help this horse." So he gets up, and he's like, "I'm just helping the horse," and then he goes out there, and he can't get the horse up. He has nothing to cut the wires or anything. So then he turns around, and there's a German guy standing right there, and the German is, and they're both out there in the middle of no man's land, just to try and help this horse. And the German has this, what is it? Pliers, cutters, something that I think you might use to I think it's cutters to use on bushes or something. Or you could use it for anything maybe, but so, and he's like, "Here, I've got these, let's try and get and then they're trying to help each other out, and they're talking things through, like, how should we cut the wires, what's the best way to do this so that he doesn't, like, jump up and blind himself, and all these different things. And so, it's a very interesting scene, because they're at war. This is the Germans against the British. These are two people from different sides of the war. And they're helping each other out, and they come together to help this horse, to help this animal that's in pain and trapped and afraid. And they come together to help this horse. And after they get the horse out, they both of them want the horse, and they're like, "Well, I brought the cutters, so I should get the horse." And the one's like, "Well, he's obviously British because he's beautiful or something." And then the German's like, "Well, of course he's British because he's dirty." And then it's funny, and then they're like, "We should just flip a coin." So then they flip a coin, and then the British guy gets the horse. But what's interesting is, as they're leaving, they're basically telling each other, "Stay safe, keep your head down, don't get shot," and stuff like that. And it's really cool that, I don't know, it's very interesting to me. And that's probably my favorite scene. You know, they're like, "Don't get shot, stay safe," even though they're at war with each other, but they don't want each other dead. Anybody in the war, they don't really want each other dead, really. They're just terrified and out there fighting for their country. It's crazy, war, and it's terrible, but you know, you gotta do it. You gotta do it. But, so, I love this movie. Love it, love it, love it, love it. It made me cry. It's so good. It's so good. Oh, it's so good. I don't remember when it came out. Maybe 2010, I think, but it's just so good. Steven Spielberg, War Horse, so good. Watch this movie, definitely. If you like, nobody likes war, but like, if you like war movies, like horses, and you like to cry. I mean, you might not cry. It's not guaranteed that you're gonna cry. It's not like extremely sad. It is very sad. I don't know. It depends. Some people don't ever cry. I never used to cry in movies or watching movies, but now I kind of do if it's good enough or has enough emotion. But so, yeah, this is a good movie. Definitely watch it. Yeah. So, if you liked my video, give it a thumbs up. Thank you for watching. If you want to join the Comet Club and become an explorer of the universe with me, then click subscribe wherever you see the button. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!